Hello. Yeah, my name's Joe, and I'm a semi-retired games journalist who mainly writes about why nobody should work for free. And today, Easter eggs at VideoBrains. I'm here to talk about Easter eggs and kind of what they are, really. There's a little bit of confusion, actually. Today, just talking to people, I've been asked what are Easter eggs a few times, which is good because that's what I'm here to talk about. God, that's bright. So people have a lot of different opinions about what counts as an Easter egg. To some people, it has to be something that's kind of like funny and hidden in a game, something that's kind of like off the beaten path, or to some people, it's like a cheat code or something that's like an in-joke or a reference, something that's there to kind of fan service or lip service people. And this is interesting to me recently because one of my big passions in life is the game Deus Ex, which I predictably was going to talk about. And I was searching recently, I was playing through Deus Ex Human Revolution, and I was searching for Easter eggs that were hidden in the game. I wanted to try and find them all. And what I found was this. This is a poster that's hidden in the game. Sorry, it's not hidden, it's actually in plain sight in one of the main characters' offices. And it's a poster for a Final Fantasy game that's not been made yet. And I don't think it's particularly funny. But if you search online for Easter eggs in this game, this is what you find. This is the only Easter egg that everybody points out in their guides. This is like the big one that everyone talks about. Oh, there's this poster. It's really hilarious. It's for Final Fantasy. And I don't really think this is an Easter egg anymore. I think it's an in-joke, it's a reference, but it's not. There's nothing really clever or personal about this. And that's important for reasons I'll get onto in a bit. But I didn't always think about this. I didn't always used to think about Easter eggs in kind of like these weird kind of trying to nail down, define what it is sort of ways. When I was originally planning this talk, I wanted to talk about this, which is an Easter egg which, as far as I know, I'm the only person that's ever found. I'm the only person that's ever seen it. This is from Sin Episodes, or technically Sin Episode. It's from a metal detector that you walk through at the start of the game, and as you're walking through, there's this... Oh, I get to use the laser pointer. Yeah. There's this little sign here at the top of the metal detector, which kind of pulls through like warnings. It says like no guns, no needles, things like this. And if you wait for long enough, it'll say this. It says no blades, no bows, leave your weapons here, which is a line from Prince of Thieves. Where there's this scene at the beginning of the film, sorry, at the end of the film, where Friar Tuck is going into the castle to go and have the big last fight, and he's smuggling weapons in. And there's this guard who's standing there saying in this really monotonous, boring voice, no blades, no bows, leave your weapons here. No blades, no bows, leave. And he keeps saying it over and over again. And this got into a little reference here. It's really small, it's really slight. Nobody cares about it, apart from me. And so I was going to write a talk about it and all these other little Easter eggs that nobody's ever found, nobody's ever written about. And I wasn't able to do that because when I contacted a load of developers to say, what are your favorite Easter eggs that no one's ever found in your games, they didn't come back with like in-jokes and references and things like this. They didn't come back with, oh, I hid in a line that's from Aliens where someone says game over, man, anything like that. They came back with some quite different things. And that made me reassess if Easter eggs means something different to developers, it should mean something different to players as well. So I've had to change my idea of what Easter eggs means. These were some of the Easter eggs that developers came back to me with. So this is a game called Mania, which was made by a developer called Jonathan Bont. He was 14 years old when he made it. It's for the Atari 2600. And he got in touch to tell me about an Easter egg that, as far as he knows, nobody's ever found. So Mania is a game where you have to like pick up rubbish, basically. I don't know why. I've not played it. But you have to pick up rubbish. And if you go through the entire game without picking up any rubbish, then you get to the end of the game and the scoreboard changes very subtly. Your default name that you put in on the scoreboard is I Heart M, which is a reference to when Jonathan was 14 years old and in school, this girl Megan that he had a crush on. And so he put this little reference into the game. And as said, as far as he knows, nobody ever found it. He did tell me that Megan rejected him, unfortunately, and she never played the game either. But he got a cool story kind of told about him at an event like this, so happy ending. This is a game called The Night Flower, made by a developer called Kate Page, and she told me that one of the characters in the game is named after a friend of hers. He appears as like a flame elemental, like the spirit flame thing, which is a reference to an anime that he really likes. And so she put in a thing for him, and that was really important because it's not really hidden. It's right there in plain sight, but nobody else really is going to get it. No one else is going to know that this is an Easter egg or anything like that. It's meant for a very specific audience. And so that became one of the things of how I think about Easter eggs now. They're emotionally motivated, and they're intended for a very specific audience. Just to show that this isn't just something that happens in little indie games either, this is a shot from Dishonored, which obviously another game I had to talk about because I'm obsessed with it. This is a shot from the beginning of the game. Laser pointer. There's this character and this character are two plague victims who are hidden in the sewers. They've kind of decided to spend their last moments together, kind of cuddled up in the sewers, away from the police. And the little notebook that you get on the side names them. One of them's called Amanda and one of them's called Damien. This is a reference to two of the environmental artists who worked on the game. And so they made it in as a couple, even in the game. Again, so there's that emotional motivation, but it's also something that's only really going to be noticed by the developers. It's there for everyone to see, but it's not something that's important to players. And then again, Deus Ex, because I have to keep talking about it. There's two here, actually. So this character, Ford Schick, is actually a model based on Warren Spector, who was one of the guys who made the game. And one of my favorite Easter eggs in Deus Ex is that there's actually a specific cheat code put in, where if you put into the console, "I am Warren," all as one word, it puts this electromagnetic field around you, which means any computer that you go near will break. Because Warren Spector was infamous for coming in and ruining the nightly builds of the game whenever he was playing, whenever they were testing it. And again, something that's only intended to be funny or meaningful to a specific audience of people. In this case, people that worked on the game. And so if we're taking these two kind of definitions of emotionally kind of motivated and meaningful only to a certain group of people, then this actually goes back to the very first Easter egg. This is a really awful screenshot, but it's the first ever Easter egg that was ever put into a game. This is Adventure for the Atari 2600, and basically this Easter egg worked where there would be a small little grey pixel around here somewhere, I think it was, which was invisible when you were playing the game. But if your character, which is the purple square thing, picked it up, if you moved over it, you get this scrolling message went by saying, "Created by Warren Robinett," who is the developer of the game. And again, so that's emotionally motivated, even though it's pure ego on his part. He's just wanting to put his name into the game. And it's very hidden. You'd have to be told where it was. It was actually so well hidden that even though Atari 2600 sold like Adventure sold amazingly well, it was the best-selling game of like the last 5 years in the time it came out. It still took players over a year to find it. And my favorite thing about this is that when Atari found out that this Easter egg had been put in there, because they didn't know that it was in the game, they tasked another programmer with removing it. And his response was that he would not remove it, he would only change it so that it said his name instead. And they would have to pay him for that time. So Atari said, "No, we'll leave it in." So to me, this is an Easter egg. In fact, this is the defining Easter egg. This is the first Easter egg. Something that's intended to be funny and meaningful only to a specific group of people. So if that's an Easter egg, then I don't know what this is. But it feels like this is a developer trying to put their personal stamp on a game. And this is a publisher trying to appear cool by kind of taking the piss out of itself a little bit. This is not something that's hidden. It's right there in plain sight. It's not emotionally motivated. There's nothing really there. It's just trying to be cool for the sake of being cool. And then finally, just to end on, this is my favorite Easter egg from any game ever. This is from Clive Barker's Undying. It's a little book that is hidden in a secret room. It's almost impossible to find unless you use cheats. And can everyone read that? Okay, shall I read it out? I'm looking for an answer here, people. Yeah. Read it out. So it says, Tam, I thought I'd write you a sappy little love letter and hide it away deep inside of this crazy horror game I'm working on. Of course, the only way you'll ever see it is if I show it to you, since you're much more of a solitaire or Tetris kind of girl. Here I am at work on a Saturday, you're hanging out with your girlfriends, fighting off morning sickness all the while. You're about 7 weeks pregnant with Junior, Tammy or Dave, we don't know which, and we're still trying to get a handle on how our lives are going to be in another 7 to 8 months. Well, I think things are going to work out great, no matter what your uncle thinks. Just think, in another 3 years or so, he or she will be old enough to play Undying and find this note. Wow, I better keep it on the mellow side then, huh? Seriously, babe, I love you. I think you're going to make a great mum to a great kid. From David. It's quite sweet, right? And that really, for me, throws that into stark contrast. So the question is really, why am I here on a Monday night in a pub arguing over definitions about what is an Easter egg and what isn't? Because this is I know this is a really pedantic small point that matters to nobody else in the world apart from me. And the reason is that I think words matter. We have words to describe a Final Fantasy poster. We don't really have words to describe love letters like that hidden in the game. We can say the first one is, it's an in-joke, it's a movie reference, it's a film reference. The love letter is, we don't have another word for it. And so I think it's important that we should reserve the word Easter egg for things like this. Because I would much rather see things like that in a game. I think they're much more important and they've got much more personality to them than Final Fantasy posters and other things like that, which get singled out in guides online. And yet, even when you find dedicated, hardcore, fan-written guides to Clive Barker's Undying, none of them even mention the fact that this Easter egg, this love letter, is hidden in the game, which I think is a real shame. And that's my talk.